Hey guys, this is Eckhartsladder. Hello and welcome to another Star Wars Squadrons video. And this one is going to be a total tease because I am going to be talking about something that I unfortunately cannot show you. And that is the two prologue chapters that I got to play as part of my Star Wars Squadrons game session. So we'll be covering about the first maybe 30 minutes or so of the game. So if you want to go in completely spoiler free, which, you know, I would consider if you're really interested in the game, just maybe come back later, although again, we're only talking about the prologue. There's a lot more game after that. So as I said, although I can't share actual recordings of the prologue, I do have some other Star Wars Squadrons footage, both that I captured and that other YouTubers captured, so hopefully you enjoy that. I know some of you who have watched all of my videos so far might be getting tired of the footage. Unfortunately, we were only able to capture 10 minutes from each game mode. Anyway, let's talk about the Star Wars Squadrons story, and it's actually really interesting how it's laid out. You play as both the Empire and the New Republic, with, it seems like, missions alternating between the two factions. No word so far on how long the campaign will be. There will apparently be side missions and whatnot that you can use to extend the campaign. However, I would bet that it will be maybe Call of Duty length or perhaps a little bit longer. That's my hope. Anyway, we know that the campaign serves as a sort of tutorial as well for many of the techniques that you'll want to use in multiplayer. For example, we learned the basics of dogfighting, but because we had limited time, we did not learn how to attack capital ships, so a lot of us really struggled with that during the multiplayer play session because it is very, very highly skill-based. So, last spoiler warning, the game starts off as the Empire, and it's kind of interesting how the prologue works. The first mission as the Empire takes place right after the destruction of Alderaan. This is cool because Star Wars canon has really held up the destruction of Alderaan, even more so than Legends, to be a sort of turning point for the Empire, and really saw the first wave of defectors. A great book that covers this is Lost Stars. Anyway, there are lots of cool little details here. A good example of that would be the fact that you actually see Ray Sloan as an officer on the Star Destroyer you're serving aboard. But the real and absolutely jaw-dropping moment for me was when you actually launch the TIE fighter itself. So when you launch, you're part of this large Imperial battle group. Yes, you do have the one Star Destroyer, but you launch your TIE fighter out to do a sort of warm-up maneuver, just to do a fly around the fleet, and all of these ships are jumping into formation around you. You have Architens, or Imperial Command Cruisers. You have Quasar Fire Carriers, which I actually didn't know would be in the game. You've got Gazantes, and the longer you fly around, the more ships are being added to this battle group. There must be like at least 15 or 20. It's really sizable and it's really cool. So the moment where you're actually flying around the fleet for me was almost otherworldly as a Star Wars fan. I couldn't believe what I was playing, and I was so sort of sad that I couldn't capture my initial reaction and share it with you guys because it is just so cool. It's like you pull out of the hangar and you just immediately feel like you're in Star Wars. It's so cool. I'm really excited for you guys to see it. Anyway, as you fly around the fleet, you approach the Star Destroyer, you fly past the engines with, of course, the warning not to get too close because they will actually damage you. Then, in a really cool attention to detail, you approach a Gazanti, you rack up with it, then you make a jump to hyperspace. Your first mission is to investigate this sort of asteroid smuggler's den where you believe some of the survivors from Alderaan are being hidden. So you're scanning these old bulk containers, which is actually straight out of the old TIE Fighter games, looking for rebel survivors, and eventually you find some. Now, for me, this is actually a real moral quandary within the Star Wars universe. Even if you can accept as an Imperial that blowing up Alderaan might be necessary for a military purpose, to kill the refugees who just escaped the planet, which is now destroyed, is really next level evil. So because of this, your squadron leader, who's flying one of the TIE Advanced V1s, actually defects and tries to protect the transports. As this is happening, you switch perspectives to the New Republic side, and you start off being part of this gigantic battle group. Now, I actually didn't know that this ship would be in the game, but we see an MC-80 Liberty type, like the winged one that's from Return of the Jedi and Battlefront 2 and lots of other stuff. In formation with it is a variety of rebel ships. I noticed GR-75s, Nebulon Bs, and CR-90s, but I took a little less time in this fleet because by this point point I was running out of time. There's a bit more to the time mission I didn't mention, by the way. You neutralize the station's defenses when they start to fire on you, for example. You fight off some rebel ships at the asteroid. But anyway, the feeling of flying in formation with an X-Wing squadron and a U-Wing is just absolutely incredible. Like, there's really no other way to put it. It almost reminded me of that scene of Return of the Jedi that I always use in my Eckhartsladder videos, where the fleet is sort of doing its movement towards the hyperspace point and the starfighters are flying past in formation. You essentially do that as foils close and everything. It is really, really cool. Anyway, your small squad then flies out to the battlefield, you engage the Empire, and then you sort of work with that defecting Imperial to save the transport shuttles. At that point, however, you get pinned down by the Star Destroyer, and the entire Rebel fleet that you were just flying alongside moves in to engage. And this part was really, really cool. If you guys watched my other preview videos, you noticed how I talked about the capital ships actually firing turbo lasers, and boy oh boy do they hear. The Liberty jumps in close to the Star Destroyer, and the two just begin firing at each other like crazy. I believe the Liberty is actually being commanded by Admiral Akbar, but I can't remember exactly. Anyway, your squadron of X-Wings and your U-Wing have a few missions at this point, a few little objectives anyway. I believe at one point, I can't remember this exactly, you actually take a run at the Star Destroyer. Later, this is really cool, you move back to protect your transports, and a Raider Corvette actually breaks off from the battle, and you've got to work together to take it down. So that was really cool because it was sort of a realistic way that the battle would progress. And it's just so much chaos because you've got not only the two big capital ships fighting each other at this point, but you've got the Nebulon Bs, you've got the Imperial Command Cruisers, you've got other smaller ships, and it's just total chaos and really, really cool. Like, I was honestly almost a little bit dumbstruck by this, and this was just the prologue. I can't even imagine where the rest of the game is going to take us. I was actually a little bit surprised by this mission because I was thinking that the game would be even more straightforward than this, especially the campaign, but I mean, going and scanning things, although it doesn't sound very interesting, at least indicates that there will be some sort of differing objectives and that it won't just be a repurposed sort of multiplayer game mode. As does the fact that you run escort duty for those GR-75s containing the rebel survivors, and of course, the Alliance does manage to win at this point. Where does the campaign go from there? Well, I believe that is the last mission before the post-Endor jump where we're playing properly as the New Republic rather than the Rebels and sort of an Imperial splinter faction. I know very, very little about the actual campaign at this point, although it does seem like the Starhawk construction project and the Nadiri shipyards will somehow be involved, which to me is really exciting. I'd love the final level to be just like the Starhawk breaking free of its moorings at the Nadiri shipyard and just absolutely going ham on a Star Destroyer or an Imperial fleet as you sort of run cover and protect it from strike fighters. That would be absolutely amazing. On the note of capital ships, would you guys be interested in a video sort of covering all of the capital ships that I know are confirmed in the game, then maybe also some that I expect will appear? Because I've already got a really good idea for that. I was surprised to see the MC-80 Liberty, but at this point I've got some good guesses at what might come next. Although, that's up to you. Let me know if that's something that you would be interested in or not. So, the only other thing I want to talk about is cutscenes, and the game does something pretty interesting. It has these sort of propaganda pieces that sort of pop up between missions. It's heavily stylized, almost like a poster coming to life. I suspect it might have been a way for the game to sort of save money on animating like really expensive out-of-engine cutscenes, perhaps. I really like it though. It's just imagine what just standard Imperial propaganda would look like. That's come to life. We've got it too for the New Republic, but that's not it, because when you get actually into the mission itself, then you have like an in-engine cutscene, which I thought actually looked really, really good. And I mean, it was cool to see Admiral Ray Sloan, and I'm just wondering where the end of this campaign is going, especially on the Imperial side. Will we get to see what happens to Ray Sloan after the events of Aftermath? Will this take us past Jakku? Could there be a possible tie-in with Hera Syndulla, because we know from Alphabet Squadron 2 that at one point she leaves to go assist Vanguard Squadron. So I do think it's possible at the very least. Anyway, let me know your thoughts on what I said down below. I just want to reiterate how amazing all of this looked. Flying through a Rebel fleet or an Imperial fleet seems like such a small thing, but it was so cool to me. And it's such a better way for you to learn your bearings rather than just, you know, flying in a simulator or something. But that's all I have for you guys today. I really hope you enjoyed this video, and if there's any other content you'd like to see, including that capital ship video, let me know that and more down in the comments. Anyway, until next time guys, have a good one, and may the Force be with you.